Nina Turner, you were with us throughout this presidential campaign here on MSNBC talking about political strategy of both parties. There is undoubtedly some political strategy at play here with President Obama issuing these sanctions right at the end of his term as administration. What do you make of what President Obama did today?
Well, he's following his constitutional duty, which is to protect America from all threats, both foreign and domestic. And Jacob, you know, in this new cyber world, it is important that we protect ourselves. And this is not just about Russia. This could be about China or any other foreign force that would dare do some of these things. And this is bigger than the DNC hack and the Podesta emails. You know, now we're finding out, you know, other things are wrapped into this. But as a nation, both the private sector and the public sector, we're going to have to come to terms with this. Let us not forget what happened to Sony. Let us not forget what happened with Target and Home Depot and other private stores like that. And also what just happened to Yahoo. So this is a bigger issue at play, and we are going to have to be able to protect our cyber interests throughout.
Casey joins us here on set. We just heard Nina Turner talk about that this is bigger than the DNC hacks, John Podesta's emails. We're hearing about intimidation of diplomats, U.S. diplomats overseas. Is this something that we expected, that members of Congress expected, in terms of the justification for these sanctions?
Well, I do think that it couples a variety of things together, which is also how some members of Congress have been approaching this issue. And I think it underscores a point that also John McCain and Lindsey Graham have been making, which is that the problems that exist between the United States and Russia are bigger than simply this hacking. We've talked a lot about the hacks because obviously they have been in the headlines. They affected the 2016 campaign, but there are many geopolitical issues at stake. This is why Graham and McCain are on their trip to the Baltic states and to Georgia and Ukraine. They're highlighting one set of issues. The issue with expulsion of diplomats is that the United States has had many diplomats recently, they say, particularly over the last 12 months, who have been increasingly harassed, intimidated. There have been a lot of issues back and forth. We've heard former U.S. ambassadors to Russia talk about this issue at some length. And so I think this, taken together, represents the administration's pushback across a host of fronts. And I do think if you want to talk about this from a political perspective, and what does this do for the incoming presidential administration, it puts a lot of pressure on Donald Trump, potentially, because this is something that he would now have to actively undo. He would have to say, reject essentially the findings of the intelligence agencies that led to what we're seeing today. And I think that would be something that has the potential to set up extraordinary tension within the Republican Party, because there's a couple things going on. One is there are Republicans who take a different view of the world and take a different view of Russia in the world, and Vladimir Putin, McCain and Graham among them. However, there are a lot more Republicans and Democrats who are ready to leap to the defense of the intelligence community itself. People on the intelligence committees, the chair and vice chair there, and I think that this sanctions, aside from the actual policy execution of them, it's going to set up a potential political back and forth in that regard if Trump continues to question whether or not these intelligence assessments are accurate, which Sean Spicer did today on a transition call.
All right, Casey Hunt, thank you so very much to you. Noel Nickpour, Nina Turner, Hans Nichols, Matt Bradley, and Hagar Shamali. Thank you all so much for joining us as well during this hour of breaking news. Everybody stick with us. We'll be right back.